Thanks, Gwen. If I could have everyone's attention, please. Distinguished guests, SUNY Broome students, you'll see them running around here in white shirts and black ties. Faculty, staff, ladies, gentlemen, friends of the college, a beautiful, gorgeous Southern Tier afternoon to all of you, and welcome to this incredible occasion here that was scheduled for roughly 18 months ago. I want to welcome and thank our special guests, some of them who have made quite the journey to be here with us today. Mark Newman didn't come quite so far as some of the others. The immediate past chairman of our Board of Trustees, and a real champion of this project from the beginning. Commissioner Richard Ball, New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets. You'll hear from all these folks fairly soon. I promise my speech isn't that long, because many of you know I could go on and on and on and on about this project. Congresswoman Claudia Tenney of the 22nd Congressional District. County Executive Jason T. Garner. Mayor Richard C. David, City of Binghamton. Senator Fred Akshar, 52nd District. Assemblyman Joe Angelino, 122nd District, in which the main campus sits. Assemblywoman Donna Lepardo, 123rd District, in which we sit right now. And Chancellor Jim Milatress, Chancellor of SUNY. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today for this beautiful occasion to commemorate this beautiful building. It's truly my honor and privilege to personally welcome all of you to the grand opening celebration of our award-winning, hot off the press, not so hot off the press, but SUNY Broome Culinary and Event Center. Recipient of the New York State Historic Preservation Award, presented to SUNY Broome Community College Culinary and Event Center, City of Binghamton, Broome County, for excellence in historic building rehabilitation of the former Carnegie Library in downtown Binghamton, using the federal and New York State Commercial Historic Rehabilitation Tax Credit programs. Thank you. Our new home behind me for our hospitality management, event management, culinary arts programs, cooking workshops, special events, community gatherings, and more. We've already had some small gatherings in there. We're looking forward to some big ones. This moment is truly one of the highlights of my now almost 12-year career as president of SUNY Broome Community College. Hard to believe, especially for me. It's not an exaggeration to say that I, like many of you here today, have been anxiously awaiting this very moment for almost a decade. After many years of working to bring the property back to local ownership through our IDA, now the agency, after reviewing blueprints and experiencing the emotional and financial highs and lows of the historic building restoration process, if any of you have ever been through that, and countless days and hours of finance discussions, tax credit meetings, and public fundraising, we were finally ready to open our doors in April of 2020. But of course, you know the rest of that story. The state of New York and the world were put on pause just 3 weeks before our scheduled grand opening. Going back a little bit, maybe happier times. In 1901, the men and women of our community craved a congregate space for learning. 120 years later, our needs have not changed. If a year and a half on pause has shown us anything, it is that we naturally yearn for spaces to commune with our neighbors and friends. And that is especially so when good food is at hand. That is just what our Culinary Event Center will provide, a space for the campus community and the community at large to gather and to be connected for cooking classes, more on that a bit later, conferences, meetings, parties, weddings, and more. The good things in life are truly worth waiting for, as those of us who've been around for a while know very well. So now, though a little later than expected, we are finally able to proudly and formally open our doors and welcome you to our beautifully restored CEC, as we like to call it. Of course, we could call it something else if someone out there would like to put their name on this building. I'll put you in touch with Kathy Williams. There's plenty of naming opportunity here, and guess what? Your name will be around for centuries into the future, unlike most of the buildings on most campuses that eventually get torn down. We could have constructed a new culinary building on campus. Logistically, it would have been substantially easier and less expensive. But we chose to be where the hospitality action is and where the facility can be right in the heart of it all, and to boost economic development and help to restore community infrastructure in the process. In fact, nobody puts new culinary programs on their campuses anymore. They're all downtown, and even some older ones have been moved downtown recently to where the action is. For decades, this building, the Carnegie Library, served as a hub to connect the community through reading, learning, and exploration. Our job as a community college is to do just that, foster the educational and personal growth of our community. It is also the college's job to keep history alive for future generations, and with this historic facility, we not only help keep Broome history alive, but we memorialize it in one of our most historic and significant buildings. Originally chartered as the People's University in 1903, as the county library, but chartered as the People's University. There's no more fitting tribute than for the building to come home to the county as an important aspect of our community's college, SUNY Broome Community College. This project was truly a community effort, bonded by our collective desire to restore this magnificent building and tribute to its value to Broome County for the past 120 years and for many more decades to come. The SUNY Broome portion of the Carnegie Library's history began with former Broome County Executive Barbara Fiala. That's how long this building's been in the works, although it was an idea for the building back then with the Southern Tier Economic Partnership that County Executive Fiala put together right around the time I became president here, and I was asked to become a part of that, given the importance that every community college is to the economic development of its community. Many of you also probably know that the college started downtown in the old armory that sadly burned down. So our roots are right here downtown, and with this project, we've returned to our roots. I vividly remember touring the then abandoned Carnegie Library about a decade ago after the idea came up in STEP, the Southern Tier Economic Partnership, that somebody ought to do something with this beautiful building. It was just sitting there empty and decaying, although it would probably have done that for hundreds of more years, which would have been even sadder. I vividly remember touring the abandoned Carnegie Library about a decade ago. I immediately fell in love with the building's historic character, and it really broke my heart to see it in decay. I knew that this building needed to be part of SUNY Broome's campus, but at the time, I didn't have a vision for what the building would hold, nor did the county or even the city own the building. It was privately owned at that point. In October of 2014, I formally presented the idea of refurbishing the Carnegie Library into a home for our newly developed culinary school. The vision was to train our community's newest chefs amongst the downtown hustle of some of the area's most delicious and innovative restaurants in our culinary-rich region. Our goal was never to compete with these dining establishments, but to supply and enhance our local restaurant industry's future workforce. A project of this caliber can't happen without the involvement of a wide range of people, beginning with that Southern Tier Economic Partnership where the idea was birthed. I had never even been in the building at that point. I had to go find out where it was. I was very new to the community. And I would like to devote some time to thanking the people who brought us here today. I hope that I don't leave anybody out, but I probably will, because there are just so many people who were involved in this beautiful project. I first would like to thank the agency, our IDA, for their purchase of the property from the longtime private owner who purchased it from the county well over 20 years ago. But then, unfortunately, the building was left untouched and succumbing to decay. The IDA's stewardship of this property led to our purchase of it, and eventually to their strategic move to our main campus with our Chamber of Commerce, all part of advancing economic development for our region. I want to thank Kevin McLaughlin, the then IDA executive, for his vision in helping to bring all of this about. None of this would have been possible without the guidance and support of Michael Sullivan, our Vice President for Administration and Financial Affairs. Thank you, Michael, for shepherding us through the Byzantine world, and I mean it's beyond Byzantine, of tax credits, restoration grants, and local and state. We think New York State, we think New York and federal funding is Byzantine. I'll show you in a minute how Byzantine tax credits are. This project might never have happened without your extraordinary financial acumen, Michael. Funding a project of this enormity truly takes a village, as with everything we do of a large scale at SUNY Broome. Our village includes DASNY, Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, who provided funding through a SAM grant, SUNY Capital, the Empire State Development Corp., without whose investment this project could not have happened. ESD's involvement happened long before I want people to know I had anything to do with the REDC. It was the project itself. So there was no politics involved in that part whatsoever. It was long before I became co-chair of the REDC. I want people to know the ESD funding came through. The project sold itself as an economic development initiative. Thank you, Donna Howell and Omar Sanders from ESD for your assistance in financing this historical project. This is not a flowchart of the construction. This is the flowchart of the financing for this building. You might want to take a closer look at it. Karen Donahue from SUNY brought it as a gift for the Chancellor. He might want to frame this one because nobody else in SUNY has ever done this, and I'm not sure I'd recommend anyone else in SUNY ever do it again. But we couldn't have done the building without the roughly $4 million we received in tax credits, both new market and historic. I want to thank Tony Marshall. He was our advisor, our legal advisor on the tax credit, and help us navigate the tax credit jungle, and our own Jeanette Tillison and Monica Chow, who track all of the college's finances, and none more complex than this one. Additionally, thank you to Shelley Reels for crafting our grant applications and to the Foundation for their support. Due to the additional requirements that accompany historic renovations, the CEC costs $21 million to restore, so every grant, credit, and source of financial support was truly appreciated. And every penny was used, and then some. Locally, however, as you know, most of you know, the county matches construction dollars. No, they didn't match $10 million of construction. $3 million of county money went into this, and through the brilliance of our financial people, we ended up with a $20 million project for the $3 million the county invested, and we want to thank the county for kicking this off along with the initial grant from ESD that got us started in the whole fundraising process. I would also be remiss if I didn't thank our Director of Facilities Management, Dave Lagaikis. Also happens to be his birthday today. This was truly a labor of love for him as a civil engineer to get to restore a beautiful historic building like this. And you could just tell his heart and soul was in this from day one, over about 3 years of all of the construction from design to finish. We couldn't have done it without Dave's dedication to this. He knows every nook and cranny of this building. Our architect, our historic architect, Steve Trobe, with Passero Associates, construction managers from right around the corner here, W.H. Lane, Eric Webster, and Jeff Edson, and general contractors from upstate, Bobby Lazier and Josh Van Valkenburg. We are so pleased that we were able to source much of our construction needs from the local region. Thank you. Thank you, Dave, for pouring your heart and soul into this building. You know the details on every tile, every vent, every fixture. You didn't just lead a team of contractors. You led a team of historians and artisans. And finally, a great big heartfelt thank you to Assemblywoman Donna Lepardo for truly championing this project beyond any sentiments we can share in words. You shared your passion for local historic revitalization, for good food, and a beautiful culinary school in the heart of downtown Binghamton is the result. thank you for your passionate advocacy for the finances and community support of SUNY Broome's CEC. We all appreciate your commitment to our campus, and especially this building, which could not have happened without your support and advocacy. This beautiful building and school are part of your extraordinary legacy for this community, along with so many other projects that you have championed to help advance our region. The real fun begins in a few moments when our doors officially open to you, the public. For years, even during some of our most frustrating meetings or looking at some of our biggest bills, I tried to focus on the vision of using this space to bring our community together through good food. I dreamt of hosting ethnic food festivals and cooking classes for anyone interested, as well as supplying chefs for our restaurants, where our students and local chefs could prepare meals side by side for our friends and neighbors. This vision is now a reality, as you'll learn shortly. Just a quick reminder, when we do get to go inside, we all have to wear masks. It is a county facility, and we are under orders from the county to wear masks, and that's a wise move that is, given what's happened with the variant. And now it's my great honor to introduce another champion of this project to say a few words, our former chairman of the board, who stayed an extra year to help see this project through, Mark Newman, a great friend and mentor of mine. Mark, come on up.
Good afternoon. Thanks everyone for being here, and thank you, Dr. Drum. I'd like to thank Dr. Drum and Donna Lepardo, Assemblywoman Donna Lepardo, for their vision behind transforming the Carnegie Library into SUNY's Broome Culinary Event Center for the creation of the college's culinary arts program. While I didn't have the initial vision, I recognized your vision and passion for the project, and truly honored to have been a part of it. In my 20 years as member of SUNY Broome Board of Trustees, the restoration of the Culinary and Event Center has been by far our most progressive and collaborative endeavor. Dr. Drum just highlighted many of our partners from our local community and the state, all of whom shared in our desire to have SUNY Broome contribute to the revitalization of downtown Binghamton. I would like to personally thank everyone that supported this initiative. It was a personal privilege for me to be part of the project of this magnitude and to be appointed for a third year as chair to usher the college through until the grand opening. We could have easily built a culinary center on campus, but that would have been cookie cutter. And we didn't want to be cookie cutter, we wanted to be progressive. Progressive to me meant creating a synergy between SUNY Broome's academic programs and the practical and hands-on component of learning through our connections to our neighbors of the local downtown business and restaurants. I'm also a firm believer that if you build it, you should build it right, and they will come. People crave quality, and this facility is the ultimate in quality while still maintaining its historic integrity. Thanks to Dave Legaigas as well, and all the teams who built and restored this piece of local history. I'm really looking forward to going out to dinner in the near future, having an incredible meal, sending my compliments and thanks to the chef, and finding out that the chef was trained at SUNY Broome and the CEC. I hope this experience happens frequently for us all, and thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you, Mark. And now it's my honor to welcome Commissioner Richard Ball from the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets. Come on up, Commissioner.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. President. Appreciate the opportunity to be here again. So great to be with real live friends again. Feels pretty good to be here in the Southern Tier also. My experience as commissioner has been that whenever I come to the Southern Tier, it's about something good, and this is about something really good. I think the county executive, I know the Assembly Ag Chair has heard me say that a couple of times, but she's your Assemblywoman, but for me, she's our Ag Chair in the Assembly, so thank you so much. I get to sit next to you today, which is makes it a good day to be a commissioner. And it's really great to finally get this on the calendar. We've been trying to do this for a year and a half to get down here and do this. This is such an exciting project that not only brings new life and a new page in history to this building, but it invests in our agriculture and our food system. The restaurant and the food business is a very critical part, certainly, of our economy, and they're tied very closely to agriculture. And with our culinary institutes, our teaching schools, and restaurants helping to shape the demand for what our farmers are growing and producing. In fact, I think our chefs and our culinary arts people have been billboards for local agriculture and the local food movement, which is fantastic. And by building this unique facility, we have yet another opportunity to connect the dots between our farmers and the marketplace and the demand for local foods. At the department, we're still continuing this effort through so many of our programs, New York Grown and Certified. Chancellor, you remember that program? Taste New York, and even most recently, Nourish New York, which has been such an important part of our recovery from COVID-19. And right here, through this great program, these students will get a taste for the skills needed to succeed in this industry, and we look forward to facilitating their connection and their opportunity to use New York grown and certified products here in their kitchen. It's all about the food. Wishing you all the best and congratulations. Great to see this one come across the finish line. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's now my great honor to bring up our Congresswoman, Claudia Tenney, all the way from Washington. As I mentioned, millions of dollars of federal support into this project as well. Come on up, Congresswoman.
Thank you so a little taller than I am. Thank you so much, President Dr. Drum. This is amazing, and thank you to all my partners in government and everyone here. And just shows that we can work together and we can do great things. And it's an honor also to be back with my Assembly colleague and a couple of other new Assembly members and our Senator and our great county executive. But I just wanted to emphasize how important this historic tax credit is and how much it has helped our region. And what people in Washington don't understand is just how important the history of New York State is. We are one of the richest one of the states is richest in history, and how important it is to remember our history, but also to have the opportunities to restore some of these beautiful buildings. And New York State has used this historic tax credit 4 times more than any other state, and largely because we are one of the most historic states in the nation. And so to see this absolutely gorgeous building, you know, a beautiful library, probably founded by the Carnegies at some point, but now to be able to use that private funding to bring us to where we are today. And one of the exciting things about it is in 2017, when we had the first iteration of the tax cuts, this historic tax credit wasn't included. And I was, you know, obviously because it's so important to New York and restoring our beautiful buildings, and we've used this around the region and particularly in this district. I had the occasion to talk to the head of our Ways and Means Committee and urge to him, you know, repeatedly, we need to keep this. This is so important to New York and to our communities, revitalizing our economies and everything in upstate New York. And I happened to be standing in line with the Ways and Means Chair when I received a text message from Mayor Rich David about how important the historic tax credits were. And I said, well, you want to talk to the Ways and Means Chair yourself? I can't think of anything better than having you, as the mayor of one of the most historic cities in our state, speak directly with the person who's going to be deciding what's going to be in our tax bill. And actually handed the phone to Rich David, and he got a chance to speak and advocate on behalf of the city. So I'm really grateful to him for that and for helping us out with advocacy. But also thank you to the Commissioner and Donna for serving on ag. Actually, just before I came here, I toured a couple of farms. One was a dairy farm, and one is actually a crop farm, which was fascinating, producing all kinds of unique vegetables and foods that are being shipped to New York City because of the exotic nature of these vegetables. And I happen to have a few in the back of the car, but this would be a great place for those goods to come and for them to be served here. They don't need to go all the way to New York City. They can come right here to Binghamton and to our restaurants around the community. But, you know, it's just an honor to see this kind of partnership working, and I'm really just grateful to everyone here for you coming to support this. I'm excited about the chance to go in and see what's happening, and also maybe a chance to have some of this exciting food that looks like is being produced. in here, I want to just highlight there's something called an apple pie punch mocktail. Now, that sounds absolutely fabulous for this time of year, so I'm looking forward to maybe having one of those. I don't know if you have anything today, but in the future, I would love to come by and make sure that oh, you do have them today. How about that? That's exciting. Very apropos for the season. So, again, it's a tremendous honor. We're grateful for all the work you do and taking advantage, although they're complicated, taking advantage of that money that's there for us to invest in public-private partnerships. Grateful to everyone, grateful for your leadership, from my partners in government and to everyone here. It's an honor to represent a community that really cares about our history and cares about preserving that for future use. So thanks again. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you, Congresswoman. It's now my great honor to call up an alum and our esteemed County Executive, Jason Garner.
Well, it's great to see everybody here today. What a great project to officially open, even though we were supposed to open it 18 months ago. It feels like 18 years ago. But I want to, I'm speaking to you as County Executive. I also want to speak to you in my other role associated with this project, the President of the Broome Culinary Corporation. I am the President because I'm the County Executive.
He's one of the boxes on this sheet.
Yes, and I don't make any money for being the president of this particular corporation, but I do get to sign all the documents associated with this corporation. And I probably sign about 1,000 documents a year. And I think over the last 4 years, half of those documents have come from this particular project. But I think what that illustrates is this project was a lot of hard work. And nothing as great as this happens without a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication. I mean, let's face it, there was nothing going on in this building for a very, very long time. And some people years ago, apparently a decade ago, came up with an idea and they kept pushing it forward. And I think it's a good example of persevering. Good things happen to those who wait, and a lot of people, you've already heard all their names, have been responsible for this great project. I look at it as what a great historic preservation project, but also it's a great workforce development project. There can't be more of a need for people to work in the restaurant industry than right now today. I mean, we need tons of people of all different types of positions to work in our restaurant industry, and what an inspiration to do that, to have a building like this. I think Mark was talking about would have been really easy to make a cookie cutter building and put it down somewhere, and but this is an inspiring building. This inspires people. If I want to get a culinary degree and I visit, 5 or 6 different schools, this is the place where I want to be. I'm in the heart of downtown Binghamton, where all the great restaurants are. I'm in a beautiful building with beautiful facilities. So I really look at it as workforce development. I want to thank President Drum. You're the model of perseverance. He and I made a deal. I was going to give him $3 million for this project. He's going to feed all the county employees for free in this building. I don't know if he remembers that deal, but and there's been so many people. Mark Newman, you kept pushing this project forward, and of course, Assemblywoman Lepardo. I'd love to have any project. I'd love to take $3 million of any project and be able to somehow grow it into a $20 million project. That's a great thing. We'd be able to do so many things. But Assemblywoman Lepardo, every time there was a little roadblock, you came forward with securing some extra funding to cross the line. So thank you so much. It's a great day, and President Drum, thank you so much for everything you've done.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
There are 13 boxes on this flow chart for the Chancellor, the Karen B. Donahue bought you. I'm not sure if Jason is chairman of the Broome Culinary Realty LLC, the Broome Master Tenant LLC, the Carnegie Culinary LDC, or the Broome Culinary MT Manager LLC. One of those Jason has to sign for. I have to sign for a couple of them myself. It's now my honor to bring up a friend, former colleague, mayor of this great city, Rich David.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Chancellor, it's certainly a pleasure to welcome you back to the great city of Binghamton. A lot has been said this afternoon, but let me really just be the latest to voice my thanks to all of the partners who have been involved in making this project a reality. And as Dr. Drum outlined the role that many people played, but I want to take a moment really to talk about him and his role specifically, because I think some of you know here that prior to my role as mayor for the city of Binghamton, I worked at SUNY Broome Community College for President Drum as the public affairs officer. And when he says that this project is at least 12 years in the making, I remember 12 years ago you talking about this project, and there's no shortage of good ideas, right? The real measure of success is being able to take your idea off the drawing board and make it a reality. And when Dr. Drum talks about the myriad of challenges and hurdles and problems that arose over the course of that 12 years, he is not exaggerating. And I think most of you know that when it comes to community colleges, the funding mechanism is very much different than the SUNY schools, where SUNY funds 100% of the capital projects, for example, at Binghamton University. Here at SUNY Broome Community College, the county funds half, the state funds half. That in and of itself, getting both entities to agree to participate on the same timeline can oftentimes be a challenge. And as Congresswoman Tenney outlined, then you throw in the historic tax credit, whether that's in, whether that's out, what the timeline is on making that a reality. And it just went on and on and on. But Dr. Drum really never gave up. He has a vision and a passion for not only SUNY Broome Community College, but our community as a whole. And when he says community, he embodies what it means to serve and invest in our entire community. Because as Mark Newman said, and as Kevin Drum said, they could have built this facility on campus. And when you really think about that, college would have been okay, the students would have been okay, but you wouldn't have had that significant impact and investment and partnership in the city of Binghamton, in downtown. And this building, as has been stated, really was the broken tooth and the smile of this street, right? You have Security Mutual Life Insurance Company, one of the oldest and most historic buildings in downtown Binghamton. You have the M&T building, another beautiful historic building. You have the courthouse and several other historic buildings. Literally in every direction you look, there is a well-kept, active, vibrant building adding to the diversity and the economic growth of downtown Binghamton. This had been vacant for literally decades. And even getting this building was a challenge. It was in private hands by an individual that really had no interest, to be blunt, in investing in this building. And that had a real negative impact on our community. So this is an example of what can happen when people work together for our overall community. And as I was sitting over there, while this is a wonderful view, seeing the smiling faces and everybody so happy to be here today, that view of this building, it is truly gorgeous and will have an impact on this community for decades to come. Because in New York State, one of the the highest providers of sales tax, which is a major source of revenue for the state of New York and for municipalities, is sales tax. And it's the local restaurants, the bars, the taverns that are the primary generators of those monies. And in Binghamton, we've seen over several years more and more people investing downtown in restaurants and in taverns and in hospitality. So without question, it makes sense to have this facility located in downtown, to work in partnership with people who invest in downtown and who are bringing not the chain restaurants, but the new and unique trends into our community. So this is a great day. It's been a long time coming, but it is a great day. And as mayor of the city, I can't tell you how grateful and thankful I am for all of the partners. And there are many. There are so many that have been named today, and there are so many more that have worked for the better part of a decade to make this project a reality. I really just want to say thank you. Thank you to Dr. Drum. Every team needs a leader. You're a great leader. This is an important part of your legacy, not only for SUNY Broome Community College, but the city of Binghamton. Congratulations.
And now it's my great honor, another person who traveled quite a ways to be with us today. Pleased to introduce, for some of you who may not have met him, our Chancellor, Jim Milatress. Come on up, Chancellor.
Good afternoon. By the way, that Rube Goldberg machine diagram is also the governance structure of the SUNY system. So you wonder why I have graying hair, is because that is our governance structure. First, I want to thank all of our federal, state, and local policymakers. This shows what happens when we can pool all of our resources, come together, and show that anything is possible. And what I love about this project is that we can go into downtown communities where education is really needed. Too often, people come to us on our terms. They want us to build campuses on their terms, in their communities. And I love the fact that this training facility, this institute, is not only going to be state-of-the-art, but right in the heart of downtown Binghamton. It is going to transform the community. It is going to transform the local economy, but most importantly, behind every data point and behind every project, there are individuals. This is going to transform people's lives and give them opportunities. And what I love about the State University of New York system, which is the largest comprehensive system in the United States of America, is that SUNY is leading the way in more than you can even imagine. More than 1/3 of the entire New York State workforce is made up of New York State graduates, 1/3. And our culinary industry, the commissioner has mentioned it, needs help in a revitalized workforce. We've heard time and time again, as I travel throughout the state, we have a labor shortage within these industries. We can't open up new restaurants. We can't keep our restaurants open. These institutes are going to go a long way in providing that. So Broome's Culinary and Event Center will lead the way in meeting workforce demand in this vital sector. What I love about this is it also shows leadership. And let's give a big round to President Trump for all of his leadership and vision in this. And what I'm most excited about, he promised Assemblymember Lepardo and I, and maybe the Congresswoman since she's here too, honorary degrees in mixology. I'm super excited about that. So we'll make your mocktail, we'll make it a cocktail for the senator too. Anybody who wants a cocktail, it's going to be on us. We have honorary degrees, the PhDs in mixology. So I'm super excited about that. So this is a great day for SUNY students. This is a great day for the local economy. Congratulations, and I look forward to all the great training we'll do in this facility. So thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor, very much. And perfect segue to our Chief Academic Officer, Penny Haynes. We have to be reminded, it's a beautiful historic building, but it is a classroom and labs first and foremost. So Dr. Haynes, if you want to come up, and she will introduce our new department chair. And by the way, speaking of history, I want to mention Dr. Battisti, who was our Chief Academic Officer through almost all of the planning for this, unfortunately not the opening, thanks to COVID. And Beth Mullen, who was our Dean of Business, largely a lot of input into the structure and the use of this building. And Ray Woydat, who was our department chair for hospitality, but is now just a regular faculty member and seems to be very happy in that role. And Penny will introduce our new department chair.
Thank you, Dr. Drum. It is a pleasure to be here to celebrate such a historic time for the college. While I, like most of you here today, am truly excited for the physical space that is the SEC, as a Vice President for Academic Affairs, I am equally, if not more excited about the academic programs that will live within these walls. Our Culinary Arts AOS degree is intentionally comprised of a balanced blend of hands-on cooking courses like garde manger, baking principles, and specialty cuisines, and culinary career necessity courses like sanitation and safety and menu and merchandising. Our goal for all the graduates of this program is to not only serve as chefs in some of the finest restaurants, but also to develop the skills to manage those operations as well. For those that are not interested in a full degree program, we'll be offering a series of continuing education courses and workshops for those of us that just want to be able to make one quality meal, perhaps without a kitchen catastrophe. Our first continuing education cooking class is taking place on Saturday, October 16th, here at the CDC. Spots in Pasta 101 are filling up quickly, so don't hesitate to register. I'd like to take a moment to thank a few people, as Dr. Drum did, but as Chief Academic Officer, I too want to recognize them. They were very instrumental in the creation of the Culinary Arts AOS degree program. And before I do that also, I think it's important to thank Rieger Marketing and Communication for assisting with the marketing research, because although there was a lot of research in the building, we also never develop a program without a full due diligence to make sure that the program is necessary in this area, and truly, as we've all heard, it is. I first would like to thank Dr. Ray Voidat for his service in the development of this program. Without Ray's vision, drive, and tenacity, this program would not be where it is today. So thank you, Ray, wherever you are, and we wish that you were here to celebrate with us today. I would next like to thank the former Associate Vice President for Academic Services and Dean of Business and Professional Studies, Beth Mullen. Beth has done an extensive amount of work on this program, and her commitment to ensuring that this program developed into an equally practical and theoretical program that is academically rigorous and aligns beautifully amongst our other hospitality degrees. I know, Beth, often that if your weekly culinary arts meetings would end with piles of additional work for you, please know that that work was and is appreciated. A special thank you also goes to Danny Birchtold and Jesse Wells for all their due diligent attention to details behind the scenes, as always. And finally, I too would like to thank Dr. Francis Battisti, former Executive Vice President and Chief Academic Officer, for his constant support of this program and for his supervision of this process. You laid the foundation for the academic pursuit, and your unfailing support was an encouragement to the rest of us. I now would like to take this opportunity to formally introduce the newest member of our culinary team. Michael Stamets is our new Associate Dean for Hospitality and the CEC. He joins us from SUNY Schenectady, where he served as an associate professor for just under a decade. Prior to his time at SUNY Schenectady, Michael, an ACF certified executive chef and an ACF competition judge, had an extensive career as both executive chef and chef de cuisine. The breadth of his culinary and hospitality knowledge will truly benefit our students. Welcome, Michael. It is now my pleasure to introduce Maria K. Montemagno, Associate Professor and Chairperson of Hospitality Programs, to share a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Haynes. Great job on my last name. I am so excited to be here. I've had the pleasure of being a part of this project from when we obtained the building from the beginning, so working with everybody has truly been really amazing. I do want to thank the hospitality faculty and staff for their hard work during their work and dedication through this process. Danielle Weeks, who is the building steward, she has been one of the members who has been a part of this building from even before we were in here. She's the one that opened all the boxes, received all the equipment. She's the one that, you know, did a lot of work behind the scenes before we were all able to come in. Shafika Theophile, she is our assistant steward. We have Chef Michelle McRoy, Chef Victoria Monaco Tompkins. They're both our instructors, as well as Renee Kovac. She is the hospitality secretary. So thank you guys for all the hard work that you guys have done throughout this whole process. The Hospitality Programs Department is extremely blessed to have a building like this to bring so many amazing opportunities, not only to the culinary program, but also for our event management program. This building provides opportunities and spaces for the event students to create. There's a fabrication lab where they can create flowers and centerpieces, as well as the main event space where they can be creative with creating backdrops and uplighting. So we're very excited to have, continued endless opportunities for both programs. Our event management program, as well as the culinary arts program, they work hand in hand on creating big events such as our mock wedding. The event students, they work front of the house, whereas the culinary arts students, they're in the back of the house. So they work very well together, and it's just two amazing programs. Our department is very excited to collaborate with STIR, which is the Southern Tier Independent Restaurant Association, on future events as well as other community projects. We are also very excited to announce the upcoming recreational classes and workforce development. We have brochures that are on the table inside when you guys head in. Make sure you guys grab one, and it will list all the upcoming classes that we have going on in here for the rest of 2021. I would also like to thank Justine Didamio, who is the SUNY Broome Special Events Coordinator, on all her hard work putting this event together. As a few people before me had mentioned, that there's a lot of spaces inside available for rent, so if you guys would like to rent out the spaces, feel free to contact Justine and she will give you all the information that you need. Enjoy your time. When ceremony is over, you will be able to tour the facility, and we do have students. A few of them already went inside. They are on a time frame, so they looked at their watch and they already headed back inside. They will be in rooms to give you guys a little bit more information, as well as they will be doing the mocktails, and then there will be some other refreshments and appetizers provided by the culinary students. So have fun. One last thing, happy birthday, Dave.
Thank you, Maria. Yes, when you tour, you'll definitely want to check out the time capsule underneath that far left window on the first floor. A beautiful array of the time capsule in this building on your left when you walk in. Now, my honor to introduce another alum, most importantly, our Senator Fred Akshar.
Dr. Drum, thank you. Give it up for Dr. Drum and his amazing team one more time. Maria, I am glad to hear that STIR is involved with this beautiful building. Paul Van Savage and his wonderful wife are with us. Paul is an amazing community partner, so very glad to hear that. Chancellor, welcome back to the Southern Tier, and I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the Commissioner. It's important for all of you to know that the Ag and Markets Commissioner, he is the People's Commissioner. It's been a pleasure to work with you for the last 6 years. Just an incredible public servant doing great work in the space of agriculture. Dr. Drum, as a proud alum of SUNY Broome, I want to extend my heartfelt congratulations to you and your entire team on what really is, as the mayor said, a great, great day. I know that this project was announced nearly a decade ago, and as you've heard many times, there were certainly roadblocks, but nonetheless, yet through it all, Doc, you exercised two of the most important virtues needed for any government project, and I think my colleagues would agree. You need patience and you need persistence. Patience to face each challenge with a positive attitude that clearly you and your team have done, and persistence to fight like hell with passion for what you believe in and for the people who believe in you. After nearly a decade, we were ready to open the doors, but we all know what happened. But nonetheless, the dream is alive and well. I think most importantly for me, as the community drives past this building or gets an opportunity to go inside this building, it is important that they recognize that this building represents the promise of opportunity, of renewal and revitalization. And sealed within these very walls are the blood, sweat, and tears that I know it took to make this project a reality. Our community, our downtown, our students are better off because of the tireless work of so many. I would be remiss, too, if I didn't speak about my esteemed colleague, Assemblywoman Donna Lupardo. We are of different political persuasion. However, I have enjoyed for the last 6 years a wonderful working relationship with the Assemblywoman. Assemblywoman, you have undoubtedly left an indelible mark on this community by way of this project and so many others. So it has been a pleasure to work with you, and this is a very, very good day for this community, but really, on behalf of the people that we so proudly represent, I say congratulations. Thank you.
Now it's my honor to bring up Assemblyman Joe Angelino, who represents the main campus of SUNY Broome.
Thank you, President Drum. I appreciate it. Commissioner, Chancellor, it's very nice to see everybody here. I can't tell you how proud I am that this building is happening here behind us. I have driven by when it was the broken tooth and the smile of downtown, and I didn't know this was going on. So I'm sort of glad it was delayed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been standing here had this happened 18 months ago. I'm very happy to have SUNY Broome in my district because SUNY Broome is the facility, the organization, the place where our local young people and some adults go to immediately get an education and enter the workforce, which helps keep them here. And it's a very important role that they play there, direct from education into the workforce. Now, branching out into culinary, I can't tell you how important this is for me personally because I'm one of those people who depends on others to cook for me. I can't do a bowl of Wheaties correctly, so this is really, really important. But again, right now, there's going to be opportunities to take over a restaurant. There's people who couldn't quite make it through the pandemic, and there's ripe fruit to be picked, and the culinary students that are going to come out of here are going to be taking that up, and they're going to be employing people. They're going to be bringing food in nearby, lettuce, vegetables, all kinds of things, dairy that's going to come directly. And this is all part of the cycle because if you like to eat, this is what keeps us all going. I did hear the doctor mention naming opportunities. I don't think my pockets are quite on the same par as the Carnegie family, but for those of you who might be interested, maybe you can't see it, but behind me on the beautiful headstones over each one of the windows, there's a name. There's Homer, Plato, Dante, and the big one in the middle, Shakespeare. So if you want to get your name on this building, just think of the price it's going to be to cover up the name of Shakespeare. But we're almost done here, folks, and I'll turn it over to the next speaker. I don't know what you did, but you brought the man emotional tears. But Ms. Lepardo has been a great friend of mine. Not only are we neighboring assemblymen, but with the agriculture in my district. But thank you for everything, Donna. You'll have to tell me the story behind this.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Yeah, there is no way to put into words everything our next speaker and great champion for this region has done to help get this project through. Almost everything you saw on that chart, Donna was a part of in one way or another. Please join me in welcoming Assemblywoman Donna Lepardo.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for your kind words. I'm really overcome with emotion for your kindness and also for the occasion that has brought us here today. Chancellor, my dear friends, and Commissioner, and everyone else, colleagues, I appreciate your being here. I have long admired and loved this building from the minute I saw it. It sounds like a romance, and it truly is. I feel that way about all of our historic properties in the city of Binghamton in particular and throughout our area, and I have made it a goal of mine to save their legacy by preserving them and trying to drive important restoration dollars our way. This Binghamton Public Library, with its beautiful columns and names of writers all around it, is an inspiration every time I see it. And to see that it has now been repurposed in this way is probably one of the proudest moments of my personal career. Next week will be the 118th anniversary of the laying of the cornerstone in this building with this terrific time capsule, which contained unbelievably important newspapers, but blueprints for the building, which was a real find for the architects and restorers of this building. So for those of you who are doing blueprints, those of you who are doing time capsules, think about the future architects of the world and put a set of blueprints and other information in there. It was 1 year before that building was built and 29 years before that building was built. So this was here by itself for a little while, and it probably stood out as just a wonderful architectural marvel at the time. You know, when we built the new library in the year 2000, I was on the county legislature, and I felt, like many of us at the time, that we could not let a Carnegie library fall into disrepair, and we set it as a goal to make sure this would be repurposed. For those of you who may not be aware, this is just one of 107 Carnegie libraries in New York State alone, one out of 1,700 almost in the United States, and many more in the UK and in Canada. We were very fortunate to have this, and we wanted to make sure we protected it for a new use. So thank you to everyone that you thanked. No point in me going into it, but certainly Kevin and your team, Michael Sullivan and Ray, your board, the IDA, the ESD. But there's one group of people I want to thank in particular, and I want to make sure that when you go in this building, you're on the lookout. I want to thank the tradesmen and the craftsmen who lovingly restored this place. There's $1 million worth of plaster in this building to restore those walls the way they once looked, right? Am I wrong? Historic plaster, no less, and other finishing touches that these craftsmen took on and made sure reflected the original intent of this building. So I think you'll be very, very proud to see that. One of the last thing I'll say is that the reason we were able to get the funding for this building, at least the part I was responsible for, is because this building represents placemaking. That was sort of the buzzword at the time, to try to build a place. And a place like downtown Binghamton, look at this, it's just the most beautiful place. You don't realize it sometimes unless someone comes here from out of town and looks around and comments, this is one of the most beautiful cities in such a little space with such great architecture. It's placemaking, and it's a way for us to honor our history by embracing the future. So thank you to all of you who played a role in this, to SUNY, Broome's, Culinary, and Event Center. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Donna. When the leaves fall off these trees, fall's my favorite time of year. When you look down it's a totally historic cityscape looking from here down Court Street. Once the leaves are gone, when you look from this building on or from the bank across, it's absolutely stunning historical neighborhood. Walked through it just a couple of weeks ago. Some of you might have seen my tweet. I don't tweet very often, but I tweeted about that because it's such a beautiful walk from the Collier Street lot over to the new restaurant over here. P.S. It's now time to begin the ceremony. I'm sure you're all thrilled about that, but so many people had a part in this, and we could have as many more speak who had major parts in this, but we're not going to do that to everybody. Next will be the unveiling of the historical plaque for the building, which has been donated by the Preservation Association of the Southern Tier, and Roger Luther, our Broome County historian, I know he's here somewhere, is going to lead us through the unveiling of our historical plaque, and then to the ribbon cutting. Roger, come on up.
Thank you very much. The good news is I'm the last speaker. But you know, listening to all these speakers, there's one common message that comes through big time. And first of all, it's a great day for SUNY Broome, but it's also a great day for Binghamton, and it's a great day for Broome County. And it's been a long time coming. I thought it'd be a good idea to just talk a little bit about the history of this building. And don't worry, it's not going to be long. We're going to cover about 120 years in under 2 minutes. October 1903, Donald Lepardo mentioned the Cornerstone, and that's the date that's engraved in the side of that stone. On that day, it was a beautiful October day, probably a lot like this. There was a huge crowd of people right here where we are gathered. And the reason they were here was to celebrate the birth of this building. Just 1 year earlier, City Council had contacted philanthropist Andrew Carnegie and suggested that, well, asked if he would consider donating a public library to Binghamton. He agreed. And so then the cornerstone was placed on the October 15th, and that marked the official beginning of construction of this building. On that day, William Seward, he would be our first librarian, and he would be later a historian. He stood right here and he said a few words. And he said, this building will be more than a library. It will be more than a building just filled with books. It will be a center where people from all over our community come to learn, and then he named it. He called it the People's University. Well, the following year it did open, and for the next 96 years, that's exactly what it was. It was the People's University for the people of this community. But then it closed, and then the building sat empty for 20 years, while the community didn't want to let go of this building, kept the effort up to save and come up with a reuse for this building. Well, it finally paid off. 118 years after that cornerstone was placed, 22 years after the building closed, we're here today to celebrate the rebirth of Carnegie's gift to Binghamton. The building has a new life, it has a new name, and it has a renewed purpose as the People's University. It's a center where all people from all over the country can come to learn. This is historic preservation at its finest. And this is a great day for Binghamton.
We're going to move over here to do the unveiling of the historic plaque and then do the ribbon cutting. And as you move out from under the tent, take a look at the names that Assemblyman Angelino mentioned: Homer, Plato, Virgil, Dante, Shakespeare, and they go all the way around the other side of the building as well, if you want to take a walk around the other side of the building and see all the great classic authors who are etched into the architecture of this building. But over here, we're going to unveil the new historical plaque.